John Felt here, and this is the Blue Water Outlook Weekly Weather Briefing for the 15th of January 2022. Very active pattern, many systems impacting the nation from west to east. We'll have at least two of those this week I'll be talking about. Let's get started. Well, I know you've heard about the atmospheric river impacting California over the last couple of weeks. Excessive rainfall, severe flooding, fatalities. Also in the southeast U.S., we had a lot of severe storm reports. The red triangles are tornado touchdowns, even some snow here and there, and that's the blue shades. Now, I know the media is talking about, is there a climate or global warming tie-in or link to the California flooding? Well, there could be, because we're loading more moisture into that Pacific storm, each Pacific storm. But I think it's more just a weather phenomenon in that we have a jet stream aligned in one position for an extended period of time, and that's sort of the definition of the Pineapple Express, where the jet stream sort of stays focused in one alignment. And you know, when we get the jet stream in one alignment, we get either too much rain or not enough rain, or too much snow or not enough snow. So I'm sort of leaning towards this being more of a weather feature, maybe with an enhancement of some additional deep-seated moisture due to warmer water. Now we take a look at the precipitation last week, and very clear, the west coast, California and the Sierra Nevada mountains with very heavy snow in that region. This is very similar to last week and the week before. It's also beginning to affect now the northeast or northwest U.S., the far Pacific Northwest coast. Now we look at the southeast, we can see some heavy rain. These little streaks here, when I see these streaks, that's indicating thunderstorm tracks, and not as much rain as severe storm reports. We also had a low, really sort of a coastal low, really winding up off the east coast, and that's producing some heavy rain, mostly offshore. Now, where's the snow on the ground? Well, we have snow definitely at higher elevations of the west, all the way from the Cascades down to the Sierra Nevadas, also the Rockies, lots of snow. I guess what I'm watching here, I have spring snowmelt on my mind. I'll be talking about that in some posts in the near future, but we're getting some decent snow in the upper Mississippi. That's about 10 inches of snow over parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin, and North Dakota. You can also see some snow over the Smokies, the Appalachians as well, and the Northeast. Now, one of the things I look for is a managed melt, and what I mean by that, if you've listened to my posts or my briefings or read my post, you know I talk about the concept of a managed melt, and that means daytime temperatures rise above freezing and melt some of the snow. And with above normal temperatures, hopefully we will be getting some of that. This was the last week. So rivers are running unusually high in California and also the northeast U.S. Elsewhere, normal or below normal. Now remember the low flows in the Mississippi? I wanted to show you here that the Mississippi at St. Louis is getting pretty low again. There's not much inflow from the upper Mississippi. Evansville on the Ohio is running fairly high, but that's also expected to drop over the next number of days. And if you look at Memphis here, this is where we were. We were at minus reading. Well, we're up at 15 to 17. So we're in pretty good shape right now, but the river is expected to fall over the next week or so. So we get into the forecast here. We can see all sorts of storm systems coming in from the Pacific. What they do is they impact the west coast, and then they move into the central U.S. This is the area of low pressure really winding up off the east coast. I know I discussed this early in the season as we went into winter. The warmer waters here, any low that got in there could intensify, and that's what we're seeing. This is the system that produced the heavy rain in California over the weekend, moving into the central U.S., and now one affecting the northwest U.S., and a couple more lined up as well. So that's why I said several systems this week. So here's the first system moving into the central U.S. By the middle of the week, we have one affecting the Pacific Northwest, and then this one in the central U.S., and this is the jet stream. And by late in the week, the early week one has moved off, and here's another one right here. So, like I said, a pretty active week with several storm systems traversing the U.S. from west to east. Now, as far as temperatures go, I want to bring to your attention a trend that we're going to be dividing the nation west, which is to be colder than normal, and east, which is milder. Next 5 days, well, maybe we get that managed melt here because above normal temperatures up here. And then as we get into the second 5 days, as we get into late in the month, have this line here, sort of western half of the U.S. below normal temperatures, eastern half of the U.S. This time of year it's pretty nice to get temperatures 10 to 15 degrees above normal. Okay, so like I said, there's system number one, here's system number two. Two systems, some snow, some rain, maybe even some severe storms. Right now I don't see anything like we had last week, but we'll keep an eye on it. And then here's our storm tracks this week. And as far as precipitation goes, it looks like not as much rain and snow in California as the last couple of weeks, but more rain and snow in the Pacific Northwest. On the eastern half of the nation, here's our precipitation. 1 to 2 inches locally more from the Ohio and Tennessee River valleys down into the southeast. As far as snow goes, this is just the next several days. It looks like there could be more with the second system. This is the first. And even though we might be melting a little bit of snow, we're going to be adding some snow as well, and that's normal this time of year. Okay, finally, let's take a look at the extended outlook here. How long will that pattern of west being cold, east being mild last? Well, it looks like for 2 weeks. Take a look at this here. This is week 2, cold in the west, mild in the east. Good news, look at the dry spell moving into the west coast. After we get these last several systems, it looks like we're going to break that pattern, and we're actually going to have dry weather even into week 2. So that's the best news. Anyway, that's this week's briefing. I hope things are going well with you, and I'll talk with you again next weekend. Take care.